The Paris Climate Conference put the environment squarely back on the public's radar. Could it end up influencing this year's U.S. presidential race? Katharine Hayhoe is director of Climate Science Center at Texas Tech University and an evangelical Christian. She's working to give the environment a larger role in the U.S. presidential campaign, especially with the faithful, many of whom have long had their doubts about climate science and climate change. And we welcome you back to your hometown of Toronto.
Thanks, Steve. It's great to be here.
One of your fellow participants at the Christian response to the climate change conference, this was this satellite one that you were affiliated with, said the following: "What is most remarkable to me is that the global evangelical community spoke with a strong voice at a COP meeting for the first time, and that government delegations listened to us and to the other faith communities. Because of this, the climate conversation has permanently shifted from merely economics and politics to include morality." Okay, I want to know whether you think this moral conversation is being heard by the members of your religious affiliation who are running for president right now, which is most of them.
Let's separate out members versus running for president.
Okay.
First of all, we know that there has been a Pope Francis effect in the United States.
Meaning?
Meaning that when the Pope's encyclical came out in June, it changed people's minds, not just Catholics.
Everybody.
But everybody, even among the evangelical community. There has been an increase in the number of people agreeing that climate change is real and a moral issue. So we know that these statements work. And the Pope, I should say, has been joined by the National Association of Evangelicals and by all kinds of other faith leaders across the Christian and other religions. Is it affecting the people running for president?
That's what I want to know.
Right now in the primaries, no. They are going as far to the extreme as they can. So even though 2/3 of Republicans in the United States do think that humans are causing climate change and we should do something about it, the primaries cater to the far end, the 1/3 that say it isn't. But once there is a candidate, we will see the discussion coming much closer back to the middle, and that, I think, is where climate change will play a huge role. Because in Paris, 195 countries, including the United States, agreed that we can't afford not to do something about climate change.
Do you think, I think what you just said refers mostly to the Republican side.
Yes.
But I wonder on the Democratic side, you know, Hillary Clinton says she is a Christian, Bernie Sanders is Jewish. I don't know that anybody in the race is an evangelical Christian, but do you think they are hearing the quote-unquote moral conversation as it relates to climate change?
Absolutely. In fact, I feel like there has been almost a vacuum on the Republican side in the United States where the Democrats have picked up and spoken about the moral imperative to act on climate, because we know it's not just about the environment, viewing the environment as separate from us, it's about people. Climate change is affecting real people, and it's affecting people who are poor and vulnerable already today.
Bringing morality into the scientific and political discussion that America is having right now, what do you think the value is in that?
I think it's essential, because we're humans. We don't just operate as a disembodied brain in a jar, so to speak. We operate with our hearts, our values, our feelings, our priorities. And so when we're making decisions about really important issues like climate change, we have to bring our hearts to bear. We have to say, here is the facts, here's the information, but what's the right thing to do?
Do you think it's possible to discuss this issue in a less politicized, less vituperative environment?
Well, it should be, because as of last year, climate change was the most politicized issue in the entire United States.
Was it really? It was number one.
It beat out gun control, abortion, immigration, the death penalty. Climate change was number one. So there's nowhere to go from there except further back down. And I think it can be, because, as my husband says, a thermometer is not Democrat or Republican. A thermometer will tell you that the planet is warming no matter what part of the political spectrum that someone comes from. What we do about that is political, so there should be lots of arguments and conversations and discussions about should we do this or that or how best to attack this issue. But that's where the discussion should be, not on whether the science is real.
Can I just ask you finally, your husband comes from a long line of conservative Republicans.
Yes, he does.
You don't.
No.
You're a squishy Canadian.
I am.
How is it that you two get on? Do you talk politics?
We do, but in limited amounts. He loves politics as entertainment, whereas for me, given how important climate change is, I just find it really hard to watch things like the Republican debate, where it doesn't even come up, or if it does come up, they uniformly just poo-poo it.
But you do think at the end of the day, once the Republicans get a candidate, that candidate will take climate change more seriously? Do you believe that?
They will be asked serious questions about it, let's put it that way. And they are not stupid. These people are very smart, and they know that 2/3 of registered Republicans agree that climate change is real and we should do something about it. So I think we're going to see people coming back to the center once there's a candidate.
The 2/3 don't necessarily vote. The 1/3 that's very active does vote.
That's the issue.
So those are the ones they're, I was going to say pandering to right now, but that's the wrong word to use. They're the ones they're narrow casting to right now.
Yes, that's a better word to say.
Okay,
yes.
got it. Katharine, it's good to see you again. Thanks so much for coming up here to TVO for us.
Thank you, Steve.
Katharine Hayhoe, Texas Tech University.
Help TVO create a better world through the power of learning. Visit supporttvo.org and make a tax-deductible donation today.